Right, back again for another LNP Lancaster Online Sports Roundtable. I'm sports reporter John Walk with colleagues Mike Gross and Mr. Jeff Reinhardt. On the horn with us this week is Mr. Bob Germola and Jay Gallagher. We're talking about high school officiating this week, referees. Mr. Germola has been doing this for a while, 37 years to be exact, football and basketball. By the way, he's also a Lancaster Catholic grad, played football there, apparently against my dad, he says. And Mr. Gallagher is a basketball official, has done that for the last 13 years. And we've been wanting to have these guys on for a number of weeks now. It's a topic that is very timely with just the lack of enough high school referees. And there's been a lot written about it. We were working on a project kind of behind the scenes as a sports staff earlier this year before this pandemic hit, in hopes just to kind of shine a light on that topic. What can be done to up the number of referees? Why are we in the state that we're in, et cetera? So with that, I will throw it to Mr. Mike Gross for the first question.
Okay, guys, this is for both of you. We hear a lot about increasingly in America, we have a gig economy, which is people working part-time and doing specific things for short periods of time rather than working 40 hours a week for one. You know what I'm talking about. It occurs to me that with you guys, with the pay has gotten better for what you guys do. Fair enough. So could you possibly come out the other side of this where a lot of people will think, hey, in a gig economy, being a ref is a pretty good deal? Have you ever thought about that? A potential positive from this? Either of you.
Go, Bob.
Yeah, go, Bob. You're the man.
I'll go first. Sorry. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, great point. We've worked hard with the league to get the fees to a place where it actually makes a lot of sense to be a part-time job for somebody because of the investment that you put in with the training and with the, learning the game before you actually get out on the field or on the court. So in working with the league and realizing the numbers and the shortage of officials, the league also saw that, a better pay would help the situation as well. So we've made big strides here in the LL League to get that fee to a spot where I think a lot of guys are surprised when they hear how much you can make, doing a high school football or basketball game.
Yeah, and in basketball, I mean, we're where we are. I mean, it's year round. There's basketball, fall, winter, spring, and then even in the winter, you have just not your normal PIAA stuff. You have the youth leagues, the CYO leagues, men's leagues. So I mean, there's a lot of opportunities if you have the flexibility in your schedule to work as much as you'd like to, and like you said, make even a little bit extra money.
Now, the other side of that is, do you worry about there's this long expanse here where maybe there's not going to be games? Do you worry about losing guys? I mean, now we're going glass half empty a little bit. Do you worry about losing touch with some of your guys? Bob.
We do. Our executive board in the football chapter has worked hard to try to keep in contact with the guys and give them a status of where things are. I've been in touch with Ron Kennedy of the LL League trying to get a feel. And Ron says, as far as he knows, we got to work like it's going to happen, come August. Now he's going to be meeting with the PIAA, I think, either later this week or next week. And he said he might have a better picture at that point. But right now, it's like anything, it's kind of uncertain whether college football or high school football is going to be around this year come August.
Now, Jay, you've already lost some AAU stuff. And
yeah, we've lost, our AAU stuff, the spring stuff. We've lost, a lot of the summer leagues. I mean, Jeff knows, you guys know from around, there's a lot of the high school summer leagues in the area. And for us, that's a huge training ground for our officials that become new officials in the spring. We really focus in on the summer with it. So like we just sent out this week to our officials a whole summer Zoom series, 2 sessions a week of different training topics that we're going to do to just try and keep people connected, because losing spring and summer, that's a lot, and you're going to lose people who might not want to go into those large group settings anymore. That's going to be something. People's level of comfort is going to also change.
Bob, we broke bread together at the LL football banquet back in December, and we were sitting there enjoying pie, and you kind of gave me an elbow and you said, Jeff, this is kind of as dire as I've seen LL football refs here in a long, long time, if not ever. How dire is it?
Yeah. Yeah, Jeff, it's not gotten much better since December. In fact, we've lost 3 or 4 guys that have retired or had injuries to the point where they're not going to be able to referee this coming year. So I think our numbers, as I sit here today, we have 84 chapter members. Just to give you a scope of things, I think this year on the 11th or the 4th of September, the way the non-league schedule is, I have 15 LL varsity home games that night. So I need 75 varsity veteran officials for that Friday night.
Whoa.
Our whole chapter is only 84 guys. So we're tight, and we're doing all we can to try to increase those ranks. The real issue is the football chapter, and I know many of the other sports chapters is an aging group of guys. I don't know what the average age of our chapter is, but last year we were at a meeting, a dual meeting. We have a meeting every year with the coaches and the officials. We get together and break bread. And I took a few minutes at that meeting and told them to look around, and that of the guys in this room, I think we had about 80 guys there. 30 of those guys will not be here in the next 5 to 8 years. Just because the age of what they are, their age, they're not going to be doing it anymore. So the executive board has worked hard to try to figure out ways to recruit new people. We're trying to get a social media presence. We're trying to work on a Twitter account, a Snapchat account to try to get that out to that group of millennials that we really need to join our chapter. We need that age group to develop, and so that they're going to have, these guys will be here for the next 20 or 25 years.
Right.
And I know, Jay, same things are happening in basketball, because I sit there in our basketball meetings in the winter, and our executive board with you that are doing the same type of things.
Yeah, and even a lot of the guys that are joining the chapter, we're not getting those 20-somethings, and we've been doing a good push. We've been getting it into local colleges, which is a great thing to kind of get those kids to kind of start taking and start coming out and helping out. But we get a lot of guys 40s, 50s joining the chapter. So even though they're younger officials by definition, they're not younger by age.
Yeah, Bob, we were told, I think it was Ron Kennedy told us, I forget when, John, but he said they're going to try to perhaps schedule Thursday football games and Saturday football games, so you guys could double up. I mean, it's sad that you guys would have to double up, but that's kind of where we're at. To have Thursday night football and Saturday afternoon football because there's no refs.
It is, Jeff, and I think you reported earlier, looking at the schedule for this year. I think there's one Thursday night LL home game. That's up at Anvil.
Yeah.
And I think Donegal E-Town is going to play on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
That's it for this 2020 season. That's
for now.
That's the only non-Friday night games. But I think the ADs are aware of it. Ronnie's aware of it. Ron Kennedy's aware of it. And I think as you start to move towards the new LL League with Burks involved, we're really going to have to be part of the picture, trying to look at the Thursday, Friday, Saturday weekend and space those games out.
Were the referees in any of that conversation at all with the Burks merger? Did Kennedy or Aaron Menapace call you guys and say, this is what will happen with the referees?
Well, Ron reached out to me and let me know how things were progressing. And Tommy Long reached out to me right before the vote and said he wasn't sure where the vote was going to be, but it may pass this time around. And obviously it did. But now Tommy's got a big administrative logistical nightmare to get everything in place, working with with the Burke. If anything, I look at it as a positive thing. It's going to give us a bigger pool of officials by joining, by the Berks guys being involved and being available. And, with 222 anymore, it's not that long to get up to Berks County schools. You can get there, in pretty good time.
Are you guys anxious for that? Just to see some new teams and go to Exeter and go to Fleetwood and,
No, I think our guys are going to be great with it. We've been the league is, as they brought in Octorara, that we took those on and that was great. The guys enjoy going down there and anymore when you get to my age, it doesn't matter where you're going. You just enjoy being out on a football field on a Friday night. And
that's true though. I didn't even think about that. You will be gaining 13 schools, but we'll be gaining a whole county's pool of officials, right? Yeah. That could be a good thing. I didn't even think of it.
And I haven't had a chance to reach out to the Berks chapter to see what their numbers look like, as far as number of officials. My bet is that they're probably struggling as well.
Yeah,
probably.
And Jay, kind of on the basketball end of it too, you've been doing this for 13 years now. I'm just looking over paperwork as far as in a nutshell. And I'm just wondering, at least on the basketball end, because that's a sport where fans are really on top of you. We've talked about fan behavior in the past and how that needs to be reined in. You have to learn as a referee to be patient with coaches who may get unruly. I didn't know, with all that said, if you can kind of give me an idea over 13 years, what you've seen from fan behavior, coach behavior, maybe what schools could possibly do just to possibly rein that in. And is that contributing, you think, to the decrease in numbers?
We've started, have really good rapport with a lot of the varsity officials. We've been really communicating with them, like Bob was saying with the league. I mean, Ron's great, and we went to both of the coaches' meetings at the beginning of the year, and we let them know, hey, at the younger level, our younger officials, they're climbing the ranks quicker. I mean, when I came in, it probably took you 5, 6, a couple more years to get from a junior high game up to a varsity game. Now you might be getting there in 2 years, and so they don't have as many games under their belt. We see just that communication with them has really helped, and we've shared with them what we're doing. I know Mike hopped on the class we were doing. We had a couple of coaches who either were on the class or watched it later. We're doing a panel in our summer discussion with some of the coaches, so they like to see what we're doing as a whole. I think just basketball, like you said, they're right on top of you. You hear them, and there's many more opportunities, I think, for bang calls during the course of a game. There's constant flow, constant everything, and unlike some sports, everyone has played basketball. A lot of people played it, so they kind of feel like, oh yeah, how's that a foul? But there's so much more that kind of goes into all of that too.
You missed the travel.
Right. And for people, in a nutshell, if you can kind of maybe either of you summarize the work that you put in, maybe going into a season, and then maybe the work that you're doing throughout a season, just off the court. You're studying a rule book. You're probably looking at videos. You're probably going back to games that you officiated to see what you could do better. Could you just kind of talk to that a little bit?
We do in the basketball chapter. We do a lot. We'll start. This time of year, we are finishing up our recruiting and really doing, whether this year we did them online, but normally some classes to recruit new officials as we get into the summer. We do some trainings with new officials. We do, some years it's 1 or 2 camps during the summer with all of our chapter. We'll use Millersville has a team camp, and we'll do a Saturday or that clinic. And then, going through, once the meetings start, we have our regular chapter meetings where we're discussing different rules. We started, I think, 2-3 years ago. We use Huddle in our chapter. So the coaches, and I think this has been one of the best things with the coaches. I'm usually the one communicating because I kind of collect all the Huddle videos from. They'll send us the game films afterwards, and then I send them off to all of our officials. So you can go back and watch every game and really have that sense of like, oh, okay, what were they seeing that? And, sometimes if we're fortunate, the cameras are on opposite sides of the gym and you get a really good perspective. Some places, the camera guys are sitting right next to each other and you have 2 film of the exact same thing except 5 feet apart. But, we take that and we really share that at the chapter meetings. I know I have a group of like 6 or 7 guys that we share clips back and forth. And so I think we're always working to get better. And I'm sure Bob can say the same thing. I mean, we always want to be invisible out there. So we're always working. I think sometimes people think, oh, we just show up, but there's so much more on a weekly basis and daily basis that we're putting into it.
Yeah, Jay, you're absolutely right. From doing both sports, it's a similar scenario where football also has huddle. We'll send clips out to the guys, but more importantly, at our chapter meetings during the season, we do a lot of film review, and that really helps an official. When you can see it on film, you get a better perspective. It's not so much did you get to miss the call, but were you in the right spot to make that call? Were your mechanics right? You have to make a split decision, and you're going to call whatever you think you saw. But if you were in the right spot to make that call, that's what we want to work on and make sure that, as a chapter, we're consistent and having guys, be in the right places and then make that call, the way it's supposed to be made. But as far as the off season, John, we do similar things with the chapters as basketball does this year, and I appreciate you posting that in the paper for us. We're going to run a training webinar to get guys prepared to take the PIAA exam. So it starts June 2nd, and it's every Tuesday evening for about an hour and a half. We're going to go through the rules, go through the rule book, answer any questions guys would have, give them some test questions, and then have them be prepared to take the PIAA football exam, which now is great. It's online, and hopefully we can get maybe a half a dozen or more guys, through that effort this year.
That'd be nice.
Okay, let's kind of bring this home, guys. If you want to be a basketball official, somebody listen to this. They want to be a basketball official or a football official. What's the first step, and then what's going to happen? What do they have to do to make that happen? Go ahead, Jay.
The first one is obviously, like Bob was just saying, they have to go on and take the test, just like they're doing with them. We did, and Mike did the class. We did a class over 2 weeks or a couple weeks, and we record them. So if someone's interested, we can send them the recordings of that class. But then just going on and taking the test, that's the biggest step, is getting people to take the test and then join a chapter. We have a lot of them who take the test, and then they just don't go those next steps with them. So once you pass the test, then the doors open up. We'll get you trained. We do a mentor-mentee program, so we'll get you set up with a mentor that can really help you out. But, passing that test and then going to those next steps, then the doors open, and we will flood you with information and how to make sure you get to the finish line where we need you to get.
Okay, but what website? Where do you go first? If I'm just starting from zero, where do I go first?
The PIAA's website. They have when you go to the PIAA's website, they have a official section. They have a great list of questions. Just most of the questions people have are right there. So
Yeah.
go on, read them, and then any additional questions, whether it's basketball, football, anything, we'll answer any other questions you have.
All right, Bob.
Yeah, same thing, Mike, that Jay brought up. It's PIAA.org. That's the website. You go on there. There's a lot of information. Our football chapter, just like the basketball chapter, we have a website. Ours is LancasterFootballOfficials.org. We have a lot of information on there. We have a contact guy in the local chapter that you can reach out to via email or call to get any questions answered, that you're not sure of. And then, we'll work with that person and assist them any way we can to get them ready to take that test. You take the test, you join a local chapter, and then you work with the chapter to, start to work games. And it's like anything. You're going to start out working junior high, JV, and in football, it's the midget programs. In basketball, it's the CYOs and the area rec leagues. But the process, and I'm sure it's probably the same in soccer and the same in lacrosse and all those PIAA sports. And I know from some meetings, they're having the same issues that football and basketball is.
Yeah.
They need officials.
Last thing from me is a comment. Having been doing this for 28 years, give or take, I've covered a bajillion football games and 80 majillion basketball games. So I've gotten to know a lot of the LL refs over the years. Awesome crew, spectacular. Can't thank them enough, and they're great, and they could really use your help. And if you're out there and you're a young buck and you're interested in officiating or reffing, click on the PIAA site. They could.
And having a surprisingly good part-time job. I'm going to go back to my original point. Yeah,
cash is pretty good. It's really not bad at all.
Yeah.
And the LL folks are just awesome, great to work with, and it's great, absolutely great. So take a look.
Awesome. Well, hey, Jay, thanks for joining us. Bob, thanks for joining us. And to those watching at home, thanks to you guys for watching. We'll catch you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done.